Ito ang Broad Streamcast Communicators, ang naiba at kakaibang plataforma sa digital broadcast. Mula Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao hanggang sa iba't ibang dako ng mundo. Broad Streamcast Communicators, ang sandigan ng sambayanan mula sa walang labis at walang kulang na pagbabalita, paglilingkod, maglalahad ng mga mapagbuong komentaryo at usaping pambayan para sa kapakanan ng karamihan. Broad Streamcast Communicators, tuwirang maglilingkod ngayon hanggang sa susunod na henerasyon. Buhay Online, chikahan at kaalamang pangkabuhayan. Ating tunghayan, pakinggan at tuklasin ang mga pangyayari at kaganapan sa mundo ng online. Buhay Online, chikahan at kaalamang pangkabuhayan. Alamin ang pinaka-latest trends mula sa trabaho at kung hanggang saan na ang narating ng teknolohiyang ito. At ngayon, narito na ang ating host, ang ating Techie Mami, si Jaye C. Bautista.
Thank you. Hello. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. And hello, Miss Angelica Paz. Wow, at least nakita ko kaagad yung pangalan mo. Miss Angelica Paz, thank you so much for always supporting and always being here. Welcome. Magandang umaga sa iyo, Miss Angelica. And I hope you had a good weekend. Okay. And also, I don't see also the other names. Of course, mamaya ko na naman makikita yung para i-shout out. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. Magandang umaga sa inyo and happy Tuesday, everybody. It's a sunny Tuesday po. Ngayon, at least, hindi umulan kahapon tsaka today. And parang the weather is a little bit pleasant, no? Malamig ang panahon. Dito sa Pampanga, pag umaga, malamig talaga. Hello there. I don't see the other names. Pasensya na. Welcome. Magandang umaga sa inyo. Happy Tuesday, everybody. So I was saying, I hope that you had a good weekend, no? Kahapon di ko kayo nakamusta, pero maganda ang panahon. Tsaka magandang balita naman tungkol sa, of course, the lockdowns have eased up sa Metro Manila at saka bumaba ang infections from 10,000 something na sa highest ngayon 7,000 na lang. Well, it's a big number ang pagbaba ng mga infections. Kasi naman sana hindi na matigas ang ulo ng mga tao. Tsaka also yung pagbabakuna, still hindi pa rin tayo we haven't really reached the point of ilang percentage na bang ang bakunahan sa atin. Pero hindi pa talaga lahat no? Hindi pa marami. We're still encouraging people to please go and have yourself vaccinated. Ang malungkot lang nun, di ba? Kasi nag-offer ng libreng bakuna doon sa Metro Manila. Hindi maraming taong pumunta. Siguro takot lumabas, but then sayang naman yon, nasiraan. Tsaka kahapon sa news, nasiraan tayo ng ibang mga gamot dahil nga sa pag-transport, right? Nabasa or anything. Pero ngayon, maganda balita kasi Moderna na ang ini-injection ngayon sa mga kabataan, Moderna. Sayang naman talaga. Pwede bang mag-ulit ng pagbakuna? No, but what about I forgot to ask, right? Kasi boost in America, they're already gearing towards giving the third shot or the booster shots. Ano ba yun? Same kind of bakuna kaya or vaccine kaya ang gagamitin nila sa third shot? I don't know, no? I have to look into that. But anyway, unahin muna natin ng mga, okay? Let's see what's happening first sa Philippines, right? And anything that good, okay? Well, like I said nga, Metro Manila, the COVID-19 reproduction rate is down to 0.55%. That's really good news, right? Okay? That's pretty good. Tapos of course, no, yung ating election thing is like urong-sulong ang mga kandidato, tsaka final lineup na ba? Hindi ko alam, right? Pero speaking of the COVID-19 and the reproduction rate sa Manila, uh, updates on COVID-19. The reproduction number of COVID-19 cases in Metro Manila decreased to 0.55 as of October 18, which was yesterday, okay? Okta Research Fellow Guido David says, dito sa balita to sa Philippine Star Global today, na yun nga, kahapon, yun yung ang balita na bumaba na ang number of infections sa Metro Manila by 0.55%. The 7-day average is now 1,411. We hope we can keep below 0.6 the rest of the year. Tama. Kasi nasa alert level pa rin tayo. Kung sana at the end of the year bumaban considerably, at least sana bumalik sa at least sa ECQ or modified ECQ ng Metro Manila, or we can try to live with this virus, di ba? Sa ibang country, they are living with this virus. Basta lang you go out of the house with masks, yun talaga, wala tayong magagawa. Itsurang Squid Games tayo. You know, if you know Squid Games, mga nakamaskara, ganyan. Ganun na talaga ang buhay natin. Naka-PPE yung mga Squid Game. Anyway, Squid Game is that #1 Netflix Korean TV series. Netflix series. But anyway, reproduction number in NCR decreased to 0.55 as of yesterday. The lowest since May 18, okay, of this year, when it was 0.56. The 7-day average is now 1,411. So we have to keep it at the minimum, optimum ganyan, okay? The government's pandemic task force has approved putting the national capital region under alert 3, di ba? Starting nung October 16, naging alert level 3 na ang Metro Manila at NCR until the end of this month, okay? So yan ang magandang balita tungkol sa COVID-19, alright? Okay? Tungkol naman, ano pa tungkol sa Pilipinas muna, right? Ang ating pag-uusapan, tungkol sa education, alright? Diba, we started having face-to-face classes on those low-risk areas, yung na-approve yung 120 schools. Kamustahin natin kung anong nangyari since that the trial run of opening face-to-face classes in those low-risk areas. Well, sabi ng CHED, minimal COVID-19 infections recorded among students and teachers in face-to-face classes. Very good, okay? The Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, last Monday said minimal number of COVID-19 infections were reported among students and teachers participating in the limited face-to-face classes in the country, okay? Nung in-interview sa NEC, si CHED Executive Director Cinderella Haro, sinabi niya that most of the cases had mild symptoms or were asymptomatic. Of course, asymptomatic, as we know, means you have been infected by the virus, you carry the virus, but you have no signs or no symptoms, kaya asymptomatic, no symptoms that you are sick. Wala kang ubo, wala kang lagnat, pero you're carrying the virus. Ayun ang ano eh. Yan ang naging delikado dyan eh, kaya maraming nahawa. Because there are a lot of people who are asymptomatic. You know, nagka-COVID ka, hindi mo alam. Pero hindi mo naman din kasalanan yun na hindi mo alam, right? Pero kaya nga, those are the people that infected a lot of people, okay? The infection of students attending the limited to face-to-face classes has been really minimal, including yung infection ng faculty, pati faculty daw. Based on the reports of our regional offices, most of them or all of them are mild to asymptomatic cases. Itong sabi ni Cinderella Haro ng CHED. With this, Haro said the implementation of protocols have been effective, okay? Siyempre, in curbing the spread of virus among learners and faculty. Pero yun nga, meron pa rin nahawa, right? So, kahit na ganun na yung mga protocols, yung cleanliness or safety protocols, meron pa rin nagkasakit. Hindi natin malalaman kung saan natin ma-attribute din, kung saan nila nakuha, right? or baka may sakit na sila bago nagkaroon ng, ewan ko ba, pero yun na nga, hindi zero infections. With this, sinabi ni Haro, the implementation of protocols have been effective in curbing the spread of the virus among learners and faculty. But still nga, ayun pa rin. Nakakita kayo ng mild to asymptomatic cases, pero which is curable. At the same time, yan yung mga, nowadays, di ba, parang nagiging normal na lang na magpagaling sa bahay. I mean, I myself, my own family members in Metro Manila, my sister's children, my nephew and my niece have COVID and they're just home. They're actually recuperating from the house. This is like the second week of their quarantine and they seem to be doing well. Bumalik na ang panlasa. Tsaka gano'n naman talaga ngayon eh. Hindi na tinatanggap sa lahat sa ospital pagka-positive ka ng COVID. Or often din not, kung mild case ka or asymptomatic, papauwiin ka sa bahay at yun, sasabihin sa'yo, uminom ka ng vitamin C, mga 1,000 milligrams, paracetamol, tapos lots of water, yun, magmumog, mag-gargle ng hot water, all those things. Tsaka, of course, like us, personally, you know, yung mga family members ko na iba naman, na on the other side, sa side ng tatay ng anak ko, yun, nagka-COVID din sila, ginawa nila, they did those protocols, but they took Linwa. Yun yung Linwa na gamot from China, na nakagaling kila Bongbong Marcos, diba? Tsaka kay Benhar Abalos. Anyway, I have it. I take that Linwa. Pero talaga kasi, anyway, so that's the thing about CHED, no, and the schools that test that nagkaroon ng trial run in this pandemic. The government initially allowed limited face-to-face classes for allied health sciences and medicine only. Diba? Medical students. Makes sense naman, right? Very obvious why they need to go to the school because they have to do their lab work, right? Para sila makakaaral na magpagaling ng tao, mag-dissect kung sa bahay, right? So last month, President Rodrigo Duterte approved CHED's request to allow face-to-face classes for 5 other degree programs. So nadagdagan na yung category right, na pwedeng magbukas ng klase. Dati medical school lang. So last month, dinagdagan ng Pangulo ng engineering and technology programs, hospitality, hotel and restaurant management, tourism travel management, marine engineering, and marine. Okay, so yon. So ngayon, 6 categories na ng pag-aaral ang pwedeng, branches ng pag-aaral ang pwedeng pumasok sa eskwela. Okay? Hello there, Shrey. Good morning, Shrey. I'd like to welcome a colleague of mine in the teaching business. Shrey is all the way from India. Shrey, very good. See, this is what technology is about too, right? Communicating with people all over the world, and of course using that for work. And now here, Shrey is part of our show today because pretty soon, okay, he's part of my my teaching world. Okay, so Shrey, good morning to you, Shrey. What time is it in India? We don't know what time it is in India, but anyway, we'd like to welcome Shrey. So of course I have to speak English, but actually Shrey is partly Filipino, right? Shrey, I think his mother is Filipino, but he's in India right now. So anyway, so going back, see, you just came in as I was talking about education in the Philippines, like last week. Okay, like I said. Oh, it's 8:45 in the morning. So good morning to you. It's still good morning. We're still in the same time frame as morning. Good morning to you, Shrey. Okay, all right. So last month, like I said, the president, ang ating Pangulo, approves CHED's request to allow face-to-face for other categories of education. So not only the medical schools now are doing face-to-face classes because of the lab work, also engineering and technology programs, hospitality, hotel and restaurant management, tourism travel management, and marine engineering. Okay? So last week, the CHED chairman, Prospect De Vera, said they're studying the possibility of allowing limited face-to-face classes in all degree programs in areas that have the low cases of COVID-19 and high vaccination rates. I guess that makes sense, no? Because in other countries, they're trying to live normally with this virus. Actually, in Japan, they never stop uh, the students from going to face-to-face classes, except for their university students. For the past year, elementary and high school students in Japan have been going to their schools every day, despite the surge of the infections. But of course, I it's now also going down. The infections in Japan are now less, and at the same time, it's because their vaccination rate is higher than the Philippines. They have vaccinated more than 60% of their population in Japan. Okay. Uh, Event labs are shifted to virtual sites. That's right. Exactly. Everything. But yeah, but we're talking about education in the Philippines, Shrey, where we have not been. Everything's been locked down for more than a year on all levels of education. The children are not allowed to go to the schools, so it's mostly homeschooling for our children here in the Philippines, right? But in America, they are now doing hybrid learning and hybrid working, which I think, like I said, that which I've been saying, that after this pandemic, I think we expect to see combination hybrid learning and hybrid working, diba? Ibig sabihin yan, uh, uh, some days magtatrabaho ka sa bahay and some days sa opisina ka papasok. And at the same time, in schooling would be the same. And we're going to have blended learning. But as it is, we all know that the educational system has suffered a lot because of this pandemic, because the quality of the education, the materials, okay, and the way of it has suffered because, like I said, people are left, like here in the Philippines, they are left to study on their own. The students in all levels. Of course, well and good if you have both parents or a parent supervising your learning, especially the young children. But what if the parents are not capable, right? So that's what we've been talking about before. Okay, so that ends this story on the Commission on Higher Education in the Philippines uh, update on the effect of the trials on face-to-face education. So it's recorded among students and teachers. A very minimal rate of infection happened on those schools that opened up face-to-face education. Okay, so yeah, the infection of students attending the limited face-to-face classes has been minimal, and this is and those that showed up with positive COVID-19 infection are only mild cases to asymptomatic. So that's good news. And of course, my other good news is that the infections in the Philippines went down 0.55%, and the government is hoping to see this end of the year in December to have lesser cases, right? So that we can revert back to at least almost normal, all right? But the alert level has been uh, uh, decreased to alert level 3 in NCR or Metro Manila. Okay, all right. So now more news around the globe now. Uh, the other day I wanted to talk about uh, in business. Okay, let's talk about business. But first of all, okay, how do we turn today's opportunities for a transformative and sustainable business? Okay, in this pandemic, how are we going to do that? Okay, how can we transform and how can we sustain businesses in this pandemic? We've been talking about that before, but I got email and I got texts regarding that. Okay, this is the topic here. How do we transform today's opportunities for a transformative and sustainable business? Okay. With the emergence of the new COVID-19 variants and imposed community quarantine, businesses are back to either halting their operations, like some businesses have closed, of course, or implemented the remote working system once again. All right. Some experts believe that this is a never-ending cycle of lockdown, right? That's right. Very good. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, yes, Shrey. Some experts believe that this is a really a never-ending cycle, which is, yeah, we've seen this happen in America, wherein we lock down and then reopen the economy. Lockdown. This is going to be a vicious cycle that's going to be happening till we address this virus situation, till we contain the virus, till we are able to tame it, and also find out the results of the efficacy of the vaccines. Right. So some experts believe that work from home situations will still prevail even after the pandemic, and I think so too. Okay, so in 2020 or last year, okay, many perceived the situation as a large-scale experimental run on work from home to carry on their business operations. It was the time for reinventing business models and redeveloping strategies to thrive and survive, which is true, right? We in our past episodes, in our past uh, show, we already mentioned the fact that this pandemic has accorded us a lot of time to reinvent ourselves, right? To rethink strategies in business, uh, and adapt, okay, the current situation into your business models, right? It was the time for reinventing business models and redeveloping strategies to thrive and survive. But it was also the year that blindsided some businesses. Why? It was a year of survival. Okay, last year was really, really majorly toxic and stressful for a lot of businesses, a lot of industries. Okay, as we are still experiencing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, situations will remain to be unpredictable. Okay, we should really know this. Nobody knows, right? Nobody can second guess what's in it for us, but we can prepare for it. That's the thing. We have to make ourselves ready. There are many eventualities we will face. Okay, as a business leader, one needs to be prepared and ready to adapt to the lockdown, more lockdowns, right? More state of emergencies and other business conditions. Okay. uh, in an interview, okay, Bong Paloma, the EVP for Technology Sales and Marketing of AMTI, a recognized diversified ICT company in the Philippines and a digital transformation enabler. Okay, he said that uh, we have to be prepared for this continuous cycle of lockdowns, right? Okay. In 2021 or this year, this is the opportunity to reassess what worked and what did not work the past year, right? It is time to form a strategic vision for the longer term and be ready for any more changes, right? We have to create a plan. We have to create a plan for a successful and future-proof business that will weather any storm. That will, you know, we have to be more resilient. Okay, we have to prepare ourselves for the worst that will come, because at this point in time, we are uncertain about the future in this next coming months or days, right? How can business leaders take advantage of today's situation? Okay, how can you turn this pandemic into an opportunity and make it sustainable? Okay, okay. Well, first of all, like we already said in the past before, I will just say it again. The first of all is to accept. Okay, accept what is the current situation. Do not mull over what the old normal life was. Forget that. Kalimutan nyo na yung dati nating buhay before this pandemic, right? And embrace change and look ahead. That's what we have to do. Embrace change and look ahead. Because change is inevitable. Change is constant, right? Yan lang ang isang bagay na sigurado ang pagbabago, right? And we will see a future that continues to progress, to make our lives easier and make work easier. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the hearts, Ray. Thank you. But in business, okay, the blueprint for change to happen requires a business leader who has a transformative mindset to lead the way forward. Kasi, diba, ngayon, today, change should not all be about resiliency. Okay? But dapat, it should be the ability to transform thinking long-term goals, right? You have to change your mindset to look forward, to have a more open mind, to look into the future. Okay, so transformative mindset. Okay, ang kailangan. Of course, resiliency is something, of course, that's innate in Filipinos and a lot in the Japanese and a lot of people. But we are a resilient people. But then at the same, we have to be also be a, have a transformative mindset. That we will be ready for change, right? The workplace has changed as we know it, right? And it will not go back to what it used to be. We have to face that reality that it will not go back to the way it used to be in the pre-pandemic era. As business leaders are looking ahead, they should also develop long-term strategies, right? Invest in digital technology to enable a virtual workplace and empower innovation to better cope and enter and sustain your business. Like we said, also, of course, digital transformation, okay? But of course, as we know that to do that entails money, but that's part of it. You have to also adjust your budgets to put more money into virtual, making your workplace virtual, okay? Empower innovation, all right? So that's the thing. Embrace change, number one. Embrace change and look ahead. Next, we must address and understand, okay, the needs of your employees and customers, okay? What we're talking about is how to make the workplace, sustainable, and how the topic is turning today's opportunity for a transformative and sustainable business, okay? This is our topic, right? Okay, so we said to embrace change, and now we must address and understand the needs of your employees and customers, right? Kasi yan na nga, anong nagbago, ano ang kailangan i-adjust, anong iba na ang needs ng mga tao because of this pandemic, right? Their needs have changed, right? Their behavior and the profiling ng dati natin mga customers, we have to revisit that and review, okay? The focus of today's new economy is addressing both the needs of the digital workforce, excuse me, excuse me, and the consumers, okay? As businesses accelerate digital transformation, so does employee and consumer behavior, diba? Talaga naman, habang nag-a-adjust, lahat nag-a-adjust, right? Empleyado and your customers. The demand for digital experience is increasing more than ever. Like I said, diba, doon na lang sa marketing alone. If you are not visible online, people won't know if you're still there, if your business is still open, if you are still working, right? That's why even presence online of businesses is very important, and that's part of digitalization. Okay. Like I said, the demand for digital experience is increasing more and more each day. Excuse me, my throat is dry. Pardon me. Employees are now they're more confident working remotely, or they have gotten used to working from home, right? Uh, the hybrid working experience has become more natural now. Of course, in the part of education, people are still getting used to it and still complaining about a lot of things. But with regards to working, right, a lot of employees have settled into their workplaces in the comforts of their own home. Ako naman, for my most part of me, ako nangangati na my feet to travel. I want to travel, but I've been working from home for more than a year. But of course, it's worked. I have made it work, and I'm now comfortable working, doing things from the home, and so have a lot of employees have settled into their work environment. But employees are now more confident working remotely or hybrid than fully returning to their physical workplaces. In fact, when I asked people, like sort of did a survey on people working from home, It the ratio is about 55% of the ones that I ask really like to work from home. Hello there, Angelica. Delayed. Your message came up so late, but I already greeted you earlier. Hello again, Angelica. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, a lot of people are happy about working from home. First of all, economically wise, it is more cost efficient for them to not commute, not have to pay for transportation or bring their cars or sit in traffic. And a lot of them have found more time for themselves and of course for their families working from home. But there's that other side of people who like waking up and going to work, right? Because it's that feeling. I think it's about the work home balance experience. But more than anything, when you ask people about working from home or learning from home, a lot of people like it, right? But on the part of the students, okay, what's really missing? Of course, they like the idea of saving time, of course, and money. But what is missing from that? What they miss is the social interaction, physical interaction with people. And that holds true for both pareho sa trabaho, sa opisina, at sa bahay. Because nami-miss nila the personal, nami-miss yung personal interaction with people. Lalo na sa mga nag-aaral, right? Like I said, my son always says, you know, studying in my bedroom, I want to go to the university, right? I want to see my campus. And of course, that entails socialization, right? And this is what people miss about uh, not going to school face to face or not working in the office, right? So uh, but of course, most people have realized excellent productivity outcomes while working remotely and hesitation to work outside because, of course, of the possible health risks. While consumers now are more accustomed or used to using digital platforms to purchase goods and services, like, of course, Lazada, Shopee, Taobao, Amazon, whatever, businesses need to mirror this change with new remote work policies, productivity measurements, digital tools, and automated systems to address the needs of digitally enabled employees and customers. Yun na nga, di ba? Kaya nag-invest ngayon ang e-commerce, naging such a big deal, right? The restaurant business in some countries, of course, were affected, and hotels and restaurants were affected. But as the number of infections go down, as more vaccinations happen, okay, siguro pwede na tayong maging parang Japan, because in Japan, business has always been as usual. In like their times of operation, they just made the hours of operation less. Like they close early, like 8 o'clock, when before they used to be open till early in the morning. The bars and restaurants, but see, the bars and restaurants in Japan never closed. The government there is always concerned about economy and more firstly, okay. But good for them because they're living normally. Because, like I said yesterday, the Japanese are used to wearing masks, washing their hands, not putting their clothes or dirty things inside the house. So they're used to living normally, to live in that new normal, right? So now things are operational in Japan. They that country never locked down even travel. So I think after all these things are said and done, like here in the Philippines, the strictest protocols were already made. Lockdowns, we've been locked down for like, it's the longest lockdown. But at least good news now, the number of infections are going down. So perhaps as they lift the restrictions and easing up on that, we can all be disciplined enough to live normally, like the other people in other countries do. Like in Taiwan, they have almost zero infections, but still they wear masks when they go out because the virus is still out there, and we don't still know fully how this virus is, right? So I guess unless it comes to a point that we can treat it like a normal flu, we should still keep wearing masks, washing hands, and doing those safety protocols, right? In the next few months or whatever. But anyway, so there. So going back to business again, right? So the a lot of most of the employees have gotten used to working from home. So the third thing that we can do, all right, to be able to sustain the business in this period, is to be innovative and leverage technology. Like I always repeatedly tell you, we have to know how to make use of technology, how technology can work for you, not against you. Okay, try to make technology work for you and not against you, because we've been talking about the cons of this technology, right, in the past few episodes. So be innovative, okay? But be innovative and leverage technology. Okay? Isa sa mga bagay na naturo nitong pandemya sa atin is how to be innovative, okay? One of the things this pandemic has taught us is how to be innovative and how in continuing businesses, because those who have decided to maintain their businesses even in this pandemic, they had to innovate. Hello there, Jake. Long time no see. I've missed you. Good morning, Jake. Jake Elizar is a very talented student. Okay, he's not my student, but he is a student, and he's also a graphic artist. Okay, Jake Elizar is also a graphic artist, and and he is one of our regular viewers here at Buhay Online. So welcome, Jake. Nice to see you again. Okay, so going back to the topic, all right. Like I said, in this pandemic, businesses have to be innovative and leverage technology and maximize the use of technology to be able to sustain your business. Okay. Like I said, one of the things that the pandemic taught us is to be how to be innovative, how to be more creative to continue our business. Lots of businesses closed down but are now opening up again. Uh, and of course, having technology as their ally to improve their businesses in this pandemic. Okay. Some business owners supported this innovation by leveraging technologies to deliver a digital and contactless experience for customers and employees, right? Like you see in McDonald's, right? In McDonald's, of course, you can order your food, but when you go to an actual McDonald's uh, branch, you don't have to. You can actually pre-order, right, your stuff. You know, those they have those whatever computer-like things where you can just ping, 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 choose your orders, and then you don't have to even pay money, right? So that's what I mean about businesses transforming their businesses into more interactive ways, okay? Technologies such as cloud and remote work devices and tools, reliable, powerful, and portable laptops, desktops, printers, and strong internet. That this is what we need, okay? Uh, Digital and contactless experience for customers and employees. This is a vital and top priority in today's situation, right? Because of social distancing, right? So, what kind of technology could you use in this situation? Cloud and remote work devices and tools, okay? Which means, like I said, reliable, powerful, and portable laptops, right? Desktops, printers, and of course, Wi-Fi and strong internet in your workplace. This has helped businesses modernize their IT environment and make it manageable to accommodate the needs of a distributed workforce. Yeah. Okay? Okay, we are now in the era of future of work. When we think about what is the future of working, you know, uh, some colleagues of mine and friends were discussing that, the poor children that are born in this pandemic or growing up in this pandemic, of course, they will. I don't know how many more years we have to live like this, but they are growing up in a world where they go out of the houses wearing masks, right? So right? And that's why the cosmetic industry is on a downslope, right? Because who's buying lipstick? No need to wear lipstick. It can't be seen, even makeup for that matter. Well, you just put makeup in your eyes because you can't see the mouth. So lipstick is not, necessary anyway nowadays. But anyway, so we are now in the era of the future of work, okay? We perceived in the past before the pandemic. Oh, Jake, okay, I'm speaking mostly English today because, of course, we have Shrey there, my friend from India, who's watching us today also, and of course, because this goes international anyway. That's why I'm speaking English most of the time. All right. We are now in the era of the future of work we perceived in the past before the pandemic. Businesses need to mirror and respond to the new economy and social conditions to keep their businesses going and be on top of the game. Okay, you should have companies like AMTI together with, for example, companies like Hewlett Packard. I'm not endorsing, but I'm just saying that as an example company to help businesses adapt to the modern work styles and stay connected to succeed to today and tomorrow's business environment, right? Of course, you have to have good internet interconnectivity in order to be interactive. Uh, so this is what you have to do in today's pandemic situation in order for you to be able to have a sustainable business. Okay, all right. All right, so if you have any questions, please feel free to type in your questions, my dear friends, or email me for suggestions of other topics that you want to talk about. And of course, also message me on Messenger and on my Facebook. Okay? And para dun sa mga hindi makapanood nito live, we are also on YouTube. Okay? Broad Streamcast Communicators YouTube page. Please like and subscribe so that, and also you can also watch our past episodes there that you want to, of course, review. Okay. So, what other thing news that I have for you today is again. Okay, it's about Facebook, right? Facebook hasn't been on the burner for weeks, months now because of the whistleblower, right? And it's been trending. But my news today about Facebook is, okay, in Paris, Facebook on Monday announced plans to hire, okay, here in my thing, all right, here, ta-da, all right. Oops, sorry, I'm moving myself. Okay, Facebook is shifting to virtual reality, a virtual reality version. Okay, so on Monday, Facebook said, hold on, that they are hiring 10,000 people in the European Union or EU to build the metaverse. Metaverse is a virtual reality version of the internet that the tech giant sees as the future. Wow. Okay. I wish I could still can't play the video. Maybe I can show a picture uh, of this virtual. It's so weird. Wait a minute. I wanted to show you, but I couldn't catch it anymore. Anyway, so Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has been leading a voice. He's been a leading voice, okay, in Silicon Valley's hype around the idea of a metaverse. Meta universe ba yan? What it means, okay? Which would blur the lines between the physical world and the digital one. It's kind of scary. Virtual and reality will come together, I guess. The technology might, for example, allow someone to wear virtual reality glasses. Oh, I should have borrowed my son's virtual reality glasses, okay? That make it feel as if they're face to face with a friend, when in fact, they are thousands of miles apart and connected via the internet, okay? The metaverse has the potential to help unlock access to new creative, social, and economic opportunities. And Europeans will be shaping it right from the start. So this is in Europe, okay? Facebook said, okay, today we are announcing a plan to create 10,000 new high-skilled jobs within the EU over the next 5 years. The European hires will include highly specialized engineers, okay? But the company otherwise gave few details of its plans for the new metaverse team, okay? So the EU has a number of advantages that make it a great place for tech companies to invest. A large consumer market, first-class universities, and crucially, top quality talent, and of course, very expensive, okay? So they're actually telling people to invest in Europe to have this metaverse, okay? Or, okay, a reputation rehabilitation. Okay, let's talk about that. The announcement comes as Facebook grapples with the fallout of a damaging scandal that whistleblower Francis Hogan. Major outages of its services that happened and rising calls for regulation to curb its vast influence, right? The, Facebook is being pressed upon, right, all over, especially with our American President Biden, to please censor more the posts. And because ang sinabi ng whistleblower na yan, di ba, that Facebook is more into profit rather than the concern for its users. Well, the company has faced a storm of criticism over the past month after former employee Francis Hogan leaked internal studies showing Facebook knew its sites could be harmful to young people's mental health, right? So alam na nga na nakakaapektuhan ng mental health ng mga kabataan yung mga sites because of what they see and hear from people. So governments are faulting Facebook for that. When in fact, of course, to be fair lang, I want to know, of course, because Facebook is providing that venue, they're holding them responsible to control the posts and the material that is posted in their sites. Of course, that is possible, but Facebook had to, of course, hire more people to do that, and already spent. Well, they're earning so much money anyway that they can do that, right? Which they said they promised they are tightening things and improving things already in Facebook as we speak. Okay. The Washington Post, okay, last month suggested that Facebook's interest in the metaverse was part of a broader push to rehabilitate the company's reputation with policymakers and reposition Facebook to shape the regulation of next wave internet technologies. But Zuckerberg said he also appears to be a genuine evangelist for the advent of the metaverse era. He's the one proposing this. He wants to be a metaverse era, predicting in July that Facebook will transition from primarily being a social media company to being a metaverse company over the next 5 years. Wow, okay? So Facebook bought Oculus. Oh my. Oculus is a company that makes virtual reality headsets for $2 billion in 2014 and has since been developing Horizon, a digital world where people can interact using virtual reality technology. Why scary? In August, it unveiled Horizon Workrooms. Horizon Workrooms is a feature where co-workers wearing those VR headsets can hold meetings in a virtual room where they will all appear as cartoons and 3D versions of themselves. Whatever, okay? So that's metaverse. Oh my. So magiging ganyan na ang Facebook. All right? Very good. So any more questions? Okay. Okay, in the world of connectivity, okay, I just wanted to say that here in the Philippines, Globe's internet speed zooms more than 50% in 1 year amid massive network investments. All right, so they're saying that Globe is faster, but we still have no signal here in my house, and Globe is my provider for my phone. I don't have signal here inside the house. Okay. Globe's steady investments in network upgrade and infrastructure, okay, development continue to bear fruit as it consistently delivers enhanced overall customer data through faster internet speed. Based on Speed Test Intelligence Q3 2021 data by Ookla, the global leader in broadband and network intelligence, Globe's mobile median download speed across all technologies zoomed to 60% compared to Q3 2020. So, so if that's true, thank you very much. There was also an improved latency of 25 ms for the third quarter this year from 31 ms in the same quarter last year. In terms of 5G technology, Globe's 5G network is 3 times faster compared to mobile Wi-Fi. It is also 6 times faster than that of 4G LTE. All right. Okay. So that's the news regarding connectivity. Tomorrow I will talk about smart because I spoke about Globe today because we have no biases in whatever platforms or servers because I'm not endorsing this. I'm just this is merely informational, okay? Informative, okay? Globe has attributed the continuous improvements in mobile network speeds to steady investments in network upgrades and infrastructure development. Okay. During the height of COVID-19 last year, Globe spent 60.3 billion, whoa, for its capital expenditures to improve its network as companies adopted to hybrid learning and working. All right. So, wow. Ano kaya? How much kaya did Smart spend? Right? On technology infrastructure. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free, okay, to ask me and let me know, right? Like I said, the good news, okay, is uh, in just today, we those who missed it, right? We talked about the minimal COVID-19 infections recorded among students and teachers in face-to-face classes because some schools were open to face-to-face learning and approved by the government initially only for the health education department. But last month, the president approved face-to-face learning also for five other degree programs. It was engineering and technology, hospitality and restaurant management, tourism and travel, and marine uh, education. So these are the kinds of studies that require lab work, which explains the fact that they have to really go to the school to do some lab work. So good job on that at least, and at the same time, of course, the good news that the number of infections are lower. Very happy about that. Okay, and yeah, there's still a question or a text here about uh, cyber crimes that are happening and how to protect yourself. Yes, we will continue the series on that this week. All right, because yesterday we talked about and gave you an example of a software that will help you deal with this ransomware and malware, and that is the ARC software, right? Okay, so okay, but of course, and we're also happy that the typhoon didn't really come to us. It just passed, and we are experiencing good weather. Oh, another topic to talk about with technology that also involves technology is this climate change that's happening. If you notice, like the weather is very unpredictable in a lot of places. Like winters were not as cold, summers were cold in some places. In fact, like here in the Philippines, we're experiencing a little bit of a chilly weather here in Pampanga, like almost Tagaytay levels, like in the mornings. And then, like in Japan, it's autumn, but there were days last week that they were like in 30 something degrees and then it was raining. So we have we've been having freaky weather, and this is because I think of global warming and climate change, which we can tackle in another time. All right. So, do you have any questions? Please feel free. All right. Excuse me. I have to just sip. Okay. Also in the works, of course, are special guests to the show that we'll be having. People have been very busy, and Uh, I'm trying to put together a panel because the topic of online education is still very hot nowadays, and of course, hybrid learning, distance learning. You know, we want to if we want to also have our own day in court regarding online learning, so that we can have special guests here to talk about the development. Okay, in the Philippines of online learning. All right. So okay. Remember the other day we were talking about the companies that close in America. That's right. And we weren't able to uh, to mention all the other companies that closed down or will close down in America, and some of them are like really legendary or iconic in America. So like I ended it yesterday by talking about the Disney stores, right? Uh, 60 of the Disney stores in North America will close down by the end of this year. Oh, that's so sad, right? But because they are transferring it to e-commerce, so you can just buy and purchase. Yeah, they have to close those shops down because not a lot of people go in anymore. It's not being full. So instead of paying rent for those places, they'll just do everything virtual. So e-commerce, social media, and theme park shopping ventures would be emphasized according to the community. The corporation had 330 sites throughout the world last 2016 with 200 in North America. Okay, so Kmart, which is acquired by Transformco, the same corporation that owns Sears, is also going out of business. I said that already. Oh, another one. Okay, listen to this. H&M. Oh my gosh. Following the failure of 180 stores in 2020, which is last year, very sad. H&M expects to close down another 250 stores this year. The coronavirus outbreak, as well as the expanding trend of internet buying, drove the retailer's decision. It's true because more and more people are buying online. So I think they should just improve their online buying. After the epidemic, more and more buyers began buying online. So they're making it plain that they value a relaxing and inspiring environment in which shops and online interconnectivity support each other. So as businesses, as a business, like we said, you have to transform and you have to adapt to the pandemic. So that's why these big stores are closing. Victoria's Secret, can you believe it? Victoria's Secret is scheduled to close additional stores in the next 2 years after closing 250 locations in the United States and Canada last year. During a May 2020 earnings call with investors, Victoria's Secret CEO Stuart Bergdorfer openly revealed the anticipated closures. Okay, we would expect a significant number of slow store closures outside of the 250 they're already aiming to close this year. How sad, right? Victoria's Secret. Well, not last, okay? The Gap. Oh my gosh. In America, Gap is very popular among the youth. For the next 2 years, Gap plans to drastically shrink its physical presence. Gap Inc. said in October last year that by the end of 2023, it would close 220 Gap shops across North America. The closure is part of the retailer's plan to concentrate on city centers and supermarkets rather than malls. All right. So with that, I end this today's episode. Of course, uh, discussing news and of course updates. Oh, I haven't reviewed the gadget. I will do that at the end of the week. But thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for all our friends who are here. I'm happy to see you. Maraming salamat po sa mga tumutok at nakibalita sa atin ngayong araw. And of course, like I always say, don't ever please lose faith, hope, and love. At the end of the day, three things remain in our lives. Faith, which is pananampalataya, hope, pag-asa, and love, pagmamahal for everyone and everybody. So thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back tomorrow, okay? And huwag kalilimutan po, right? Have a good lunch, okay? Have a good lunch, everybody. And of course, keep safe. Thank you so much for joining me. Maraming salamat.
Inyong natunghayan at napakinggan ang mga makabagong pamamaraan sa mundo ng online sa pamamagitan pa rin ng Broad Streamcast Communicators. Hanggang sa muli, maraming salamat po.